everybody. Welcome to So Many Whatnots. I'm Willow, and this is the Farmer's Wife 1930s series. And today we're going to be making number 27, Dinah. And I have my fabrics picked out. Aren't those so pretty? All right, let's take a look in the book. Let's see, 27. Oh, we got it on the right page the first time. All right, so this is 27, Dinah. And I have used a cream instead of light blue. So if you hear me say cream, I mean light blue. And then my darker, like medium blue is this one, and I'll probably call that dark blue or just blue. But yeah, so yeah, I think this is a really cool looking one. I wanted to keep the fabrics real similar, but I did not have a red, white, and blue. But I did have one with little tiny flowers, just like in the book. And so that's the one I have. Okay, so I think to start with, we will cut out our print. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, let's start with our print. And we are going to trace and cut. Let's see here. Let me get them out first, and then maybe we'll talk about it. Okay, we have 4 big triangles. And then, let's see here. What's that? That goes there. That goes there. We'll need that. Now I'm just talking to myself. Okay, the second size triangle. These are a little odd here. Okay, so 4 big ones, 4 medium ones, 4 small ones, and 4 tiny ones. Hey, that works perfect. Look at that. They're all triangles. Okay, so A, B, C, and D, we're going to cut 4 of each. And then we'll come back and do all these other tiny little pieces, okay? All right, here we go. some shadow. Let me close the window quick here. Get rid of those shadows. Well, some of them. There's still shadow, but... Okay, so next let's cut out the light blue. If you remember from a different video, this changes like the whole color of the screen. It's so goofy. Okay, so we are going to cut out 4 of D and then 8 of G. And this triangle is not interchangeable. So if I remember, I'll put a little mark just at the top outside of the shape, like in the 1/4 inch seam allowance area, just to mark like the top. I usually don't need that little mark, but it does help a lot just to make sure you don't put one on the wrong way. Okay, so 4 of D, 8 of G. Yep, that's it. Okay, I'll be back. now we have the cream, and we have 4 pieces to cut out. We're going to do 4 of E and 4 F, and then we're going to do 8 of each of these little ones, H and I. So 4 of the bigger pieces, 8 each of the smaller pieces, and then we'll be done cutting out our pieces. Yay! Okay, let's get this set up and then we'll take our first little break. So I'm going to move all these off the board. And then we will start putting this together. I'm really excited for this one. There's a lot of pieces though, so I feel like this one's going to take us a very long time. All right, so we're going to start with our biggest triangles, A. We're going to put those in the 4 corners. And if you see my other videos, you know I like to set them up how we're going to be sewing them together as best we can, because there's a lot of pieces. So I'm just going to probably leave little slivers. Okay. Oh boy, where should we start here? All right, I guess we'll move in. So let's take, I believe that is C. So not the smallest triangle, but the next one. Yeah. Okay, and we're going to put those, they go like in the middle, but how we're going to sew them together, we're actually going to put them just by one corner and then the opposite corner. So the top left and the bottom right. So let's put those there, but in the block, they'll be like in the center. Okay, now let's take a square and put that in the center of those. I can already see we're gonna have to kind of move those out a little to fit everything in. So let's just do that. Just kind of pop those on the corner there. I need a bigger board for these that have a lot of pieces. All right, so we have our squares, and make sure you just leave a small sliver, so you know that we're not sewing this to this. We're gonna work this way. Okay, and then let's take our medium blue, and those get pointed out. Now we are going to leave a little sliver on those too. See, I'm already overlapping here. Let's just move those out. I guess we will put those more centered for now just because we need this space. All right, but we are going to leave, again, we're going to leave a small sliver because we have work to do on these before we sew them to the others. So make sure those are pointing away from the square. All right, and then we're gonna get those really tiny cream pieces, or light blue in the book. And we're going to fill these in. So now this takes a bit of brain power for me to get these right. And then we are going to butt those right up against. See, I already have that one wrong. Okay. We're just going to overlap these because we are going to sew these together first. Let's see here. That. Oh my goodness. I hope you aren't struggling as much as I am to put these pieces on. I'm just going to rotate. I think that'll be, nope, that's not easier. Okay. So it's this way. Okay. Maybe sometimes you just got to find a goofy way to get them on there. That way we rotate. There. Ha! I got it. Yay. These are just such funny little pieces. So, no, that's not going to be right. I did those backwards. Wait, did I? Yeah. No. No, those are right. I'm working on this one. Oh my gosh, guys. Rotate. There we go. All right. And then rotate. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ah. Oh, this block is so funny. Okay. These will be a little easier to put on because they kind of just match. See? Oh, it's just those first ones that are a pain. All right. See, we're going to make these little squares and then we'll put them to the center square. And then we will put these triangles on these here. Okay, but we're not going to put triangles on these two, just these. All right, let's get the rest of these on. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, now that that's done. I'm actually going to start in the center on this. Now that we have the outside triangles, you know, done. I'm going to start on the center. And this is going to be our little blue and print. La, la, la. The brain is really not working this morning. Okay, so I'm going to kind of like find the center of my board there. And we are going to make a pinwheel. Did I put that? Yeah, I did. Okay, wow. Having some trouble this morning. All right, so we're going to just kind of overlap those. All right, and then do a couple more. There we go. Sometimes it's easier just to do them all at once, and then you can see them go around in a circle. All right, like this. Okay. There we go. All right. Next, we are doing the cream or light blue. And all we're going to do here, these are easy. Okay, guys, put them right there. All four, just right there. Boom. Okay, and then our last ones are going to be the second biggest print, B, and we're just going to put those right there. And so what we'll do is we'll build the center square. Okay, so we'll build this square here, and then this square, and then this square. And then we're going to build these on the sides separately, these triangles, and then we'll put it all together. So I know that sounds like a lot, but if you can see kind of like where we're going to start. And I haven't decided yet if we'll start with the center or the triangles, but we'll either start here or on the outside. But for now, I'm going to take a quick break and then I'll be back to show you how to put it together. All right, I am back and I have decided we are going to start in the center and work our way out. A lot of times I start on the outside, and today I think we'll change it up. All right, so what we're going to do to start is we're going to sew these little pieces together here, just like this. And then we are going to actually make squares with these like that, and then we'll sew it together into like a pinwheel and square, and then we'll add these outside pieces. Now, another way you could do it, you could absolutely sew the pinwheel together by making these squares like that, and then adding this, and then adding that. But we're going to do it the way the book tells us to. Just to, you know, so everyone's on the same page. But if you don't want to do it this way, there are other ways to do this. Okay, so we're basically making two square inner squares with a pinwheel in the center. And so what we're going to do, like I said, first we're going to sew these triangles together, and then we're going to add them to this one. So I will probably sew these 4 together, press them open, and then come back and talk about adding these squares and perhaps these, since these 2 will be pretty much the exact same method. But let's start with these center ones, okay? So I'm just gonna draw my 1/4 inch on the back of one of these, probably the blue, because I can see better on the blue. These gave me some trouble. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when I flip one over. But then we'll pin them together and sew them, press them open, and then I'll be back. are going to turn these into squares. So I will draw probably on the back of this, the bigger triangle. And then we're going to put these together just like that. And we're going to make a square. Okay? So let's do those 4. And then we will sew this together into a square. Here we go. our next step, we're going to make 3 seams. So first we're going to sew these 2 together and these 2 together into rectangles. And then we're going to sew them together into a square. Okay, so I am going to draw my 1/4 inch on one side and flip that over and sew that together. I'm going to do the same for this one. And then I'm going to press those open. And then I'm going to draw the seam up here across the long edge and then sew it to this one also. Okay, so we'll do these 2 seams first and then we're going to do that one. And then we'll have a nice little square, and I'll be back to put these triangles on and make a bigger square. Here we go. I did plug my iron in. Oh, that looks so nice. Look at that. It's so tiny. And that's why I turned my iron on. Because these can be really difficult to press with the little roller. I'm just going to take an iron to this. So that's why I just went away for a second to turn my iron on. And I know I don't usually use it in this video, but I can already see like the next one in the book. Not the next one in the series, but one we'll be doing in the first like 18 weeks. Dolly, that I'll definitely pull my iron out for. So anyways, I want to press this open, and it's just, you know, there's so much in the middle there. So I thought the iron would be good. So feel free to get that out if you want to, and you don't have to. I have rolled some of these a different way, rolled them a different way. Pressed them a different way with the roller. And they're even really hard to do with the iron. You just kind of have to get in there and hope it goes the right way. So yeah, I'm gonna press this really good. Get that nice and open. And you don't want to iron. You don't want to, you know, do this movement. You want to press if possible. Sometimes you kind of have to get in there and wiggle. But yes, look how nice this is now. I would not have been able to get it that flat with the thingy-mabobber, the roller. Wow, I'm recording this on a Thursday and it feels like a Monday. Every day feels like Monday to me lately with my brain. It is definitely giving me some issue. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And it's possible we may bring the iron back again, but I am going to unplug it. Because I'm not sure if we'll use it again or not. Let me get rid of my mat here. Yeah, I think that's the tiniest piece we've made. And so the iron definitely helps with that. Just to get it nice and flat for the next. Okay. Speaking of next, now we're going to put these on, but we're going to do them 2 at a time. Okay, so we'll do the first 2 and then we'll press those open. And then we'll do the next 2 because they will overlap. I am going to mark them all at the same time, but then I'm going to sew these 2 on first and then come back and do those 2. Okay, so let's get those done. Okay, we are done the center block. And look how tiny it is. It's so cute. It looks like it belongs in the Dear Jane quilt because it's so little. All right, so I kind of want to snip off these little corners. So I'm actually going to do that. It's just a little teeny tiny bit. And I'm just going to snip those. You do not have to. But I would like to, so I'm going to. All right, we got some stragglers there. Okay, so I am going to end this part of the video, and let's see, because it has been almost 2 hours with cutting, tracing, and sewing the center. And so in part 2, we will come back and get all these 4 corners finished and get the block finished. So I will see you in part 2. Bye.